Welcome, everybody, to another edition of Tackle Shop Live.
Sunny day. Right there, you took my breath away.
What up, Patrick Kingry?
Was it just a dream?
Good to see you, buddy. Bob Donahue's in the house. Scott, how are you doing? Jeremy Macbeth, Tim McSee, Scott Shope, how are you, buddy? Chris Denninger, E-Stacks Fishing. Man, oh man, TP, how are you, buddy? Conway Hayden. Hey, Conway, thanks for the order, buddy. I got your order out today, and you will be getting it very shortly. I did take note to what you were getting, so I'm prepared. Robert Murray, Jim Saban, Randall Miller. What's happening? Looks like some Wayne and Win heading our way. Yeah, Jay. Big blows coming. I fished in worse. I fished in 40-mile-an-hour winds, 50-mile-an-hour winds one time. Yeah. Johnny Kopp, Trey Mills, Ronald Canar, Kirk Blackador, Joseph Cascarino. George DeFreen, how are you, George? Good seeing you, buddy. Rockin' River Rat. Hey, man. Warren Cottrell, Robert Mills, Jason Roeder, Matthew. Yo, buddy. Jeff Santangelo's in the house. Sam and Sam. Man, we got a great bunch of guys. Mike Hayer, Ed Radnowski, Little Rich. Man, oh, man. How's everybody doing? Welcome to another edition of Tackle Shop Live, where we come at you full-time, hardcore on Thursday nights at 7 o'clock. Put in some time with you guys, which we love to do. Talk fishing, talk tackle, talk technique, and whatever pops in our minds. We always have something good to talk about. How are you doing there, cameraman Nick?
I'm doing real good.
Good.
You know what I mean? Any day at the shop with you guys and with everybody on here is a good day.
Yeah.
But you know what, Mike, you know how you usually ask us a question? I got a question for you guys.
Oh, okay.
If you're open to it.
Sure. Absolutely.
We are Tackle Shop Live, where we talk fishing techniques and pretty much anything because we have no rules. What is the best fishing tip or the tip that made the most difference to either one of you in your fishing career so far? Like the single tip that you remember somebody said to you and you're like,
yeah,
it just changed. It sparked something.
That would have been a good question to ask about 24 hours ago.
That was easy.
Uh-oh.
Because my memory is takes a while to get ramped up for lifetime.
That's an easy one. That is an easy one.
So a tip or a piece of advice?
Either one.
I was fishing with one of my pro buddies in a big derby.
I said we set ourselves up for that one, George. Or I did, anyways.
Hanging out with my boys. And I was shown a tip on how to punch grass. And I never knew anything about it ever. And I could tell you too, actually, because I was shown something by my boy Kevin Van Dam about fishing a swim jig. But I got this tip on punching grass, and he showed me how to do it. And I didn't have anything to do it, so I couldn't do it. I was trying. I was putting two half-ounce weights together, trying to peg them, and it was just horrible. And it would just go out there and sit on top, But when I come off the water, I called my brother and I said, "Hey, man, before you leave to come," because he was fishing a big derb the next week. I said, before you leave, grab all the 1.5 ounce tungstens and giant hooks, man, and bring them. And I'm going to show you. I'm going to talk to you about something. So that changed a lot about fishing heavy grass.
Well, yeah, because before that probably wasn't fishable water for you.
I mean, I didn't know how to get through it. You know, you didn't know how to get through it. And then these guys started talking about these tungsten weights, ounce and a half. And I mean, nobody heard of that back then. It was like, you know, you didn't have,
Well, the guy you were fishing with did.
yeah. Well, I'm saying the guys in the know, but you know, for us guys who didn't really fish in that kind of situations, or we did, and we just didn't know what we were doing. That was a tip. But the reason why it was such a great tip is because it changed the way we fished, and we won a lot of money doing it. So it was a big tip.
Nice. What say you, George?
Yeah, I mean, that is a really hard to like conjure one up. You know, that's like game changing. And I'm not even necessarily talking about a fishing tip, but maybe something with fishing or tournament fishing or being part of the industry or all that rolled into one ball. But I would have to say, since I can't really think of anything that's just earth shattering, I'm going to go with it with some of the fishing tips that I was taught, and I'm going to narrow it down to one. And it really, this particular tip and technique really put me on like more of a path of finesse fishing. And it was the dawn of the Senko. And, you know, first of all, one of the guys that I was fishing with then, who is no longer with us, his name's David Habacker. And Habby was like pioneering the Senko. And the way Habby was teaching me how to fish it, and the way we fished it for a little while, was like a fluke. We cast it out and worked it like a jerkbait. And it walked the dog, you know, and we would catch fish on it. And the reason why we went down that path was because of the sluggo. You know, we were day ones with the sluggo. So, you know, if you think about it, you know, what we did with the Senko was pretty stupid. But at the time, it made perfect sense to us, and it worked.
Yeah.
But the biggest tip I got with the Senko was, because then we were like, somebody came up and said, you know, whatever. One of our buddies said, "You guys are like way off base here." But the biggest tip I ever got in that chain, it was game changer for many, many years. Caught countless fish on a Senko in tournaments and fun fishing and pre-fishing, was putting a small little bullet weight on the nose. And my friend Larry Newell taught me that. And Larry went down to, like, his biggest weight was the 16th ounce. So we started off with the 16th ounce, but I quickly realized that the 8th ounce was money. And I would say from a tip of like learning something that was brand new and very few people knew what was going on with it, to getting it dialed in. This was before most people even wacky fished. That was a game changer for me. And then it kind of put me on the possibilities of what finesse could be. And really, a Senko, the way we were fishing it was power finesse, because we weren't fishing it on spinning rod with 8-pound test line. Yeah. So yeah.
Cool.
That changes things. How about you, Nick?
So the biggest thing I've ever heard that opened up my mind a little bit, it was back when they had the Redmans and all that stuff. And these guys were like pre-fishing, and they were hot and heavy. And I'm just a young co. I'm loving every fishing trip I can get to. And finally I get my boat first time. It's this little tin boat, and I'm all excited about it. And I kept going down the bank like I was always told. You go down the bank and everything is just, every once in a while, you're just going to catch a fish. It's random.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm talking to this guy at the dock, and I'm like, yeah, you know, I randomly catch one. And he's like, randomly. He goes, are you sure that's random? And I'm like, what do you mean? He goes, well, is there anything that you see consistently? So next time I go out fishing, I started to take notice where I was catching those fish. And it might be on the bank, but it was a little point, or it was a little tree, or it was So then it opened my mind up to like, wow, maybe I don't need to go down the whole bank. Maybe I just need to focus on the areas that were the more higher percentage.
Yeah.
And it was really a game changer for me.
Pattern fishing.
Yeah, it was pattern fishing. I didn't know anything about that.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Cool.
That is pretty cool. And that's going back, you know, along those lines that probably sticks with me to this day vividly was how Rick Clunn broke down the fall progression, because it's now fall. And, you know, he broke the creeks down into 4 zones. Early fall, he would teach you to figure out what level the suspended bait was on, and then find structure. And by structure, I don't mean cover. Okay, we're going to fix that problem, America. Cover is cover, structure is the bottom. Find where structure intersected that line that the fish were suspended at, and start there. And then the way he broke those creeks down. And you know what? The guy was right on the mark.
Yeah.
I mean, he's probably responsible for teaching people how to transition in the spring and the fall more than any person alive. You know, and then Roland Martin with teaching pattern fishing. Those two guys taught America how to bass fish. But man, his lessons on breaking those creeks down were impactful. That's how I became a back of the creek river rat. Like, I wonder if I can get around this bend.
Yeah. Fish on. How you doing, man? The Birdman. Absolutely. Southwest Missouri. Beautiful. Yeah, he told me. And we thank you, bud. And we really thank you. Absolutely. Yeah, so
You know why they call him the Birdman?
no.
Think about it.
I don't know, he caught a bird.
He's a hummingbird rep.
Oh. Nice.
Yeah, the Birdman.
The Birdman. Sweet. I thought maybe he snagged a bird. How many people ever caught a bird while fishing? That's what I'd like to know.
One of our pro staffers did the other day.
I caught a duck.
Jerry Surson.
Yeah, Jerry caught one. I caught a duck one time on a rattle trap. That was fun.
Oh,
It was kind of weird because he was sitting on the bank and I made a cast and it flew off this log, Nick. And I was throwing a rattle trap and I threw the rattle trap out and he like got scared and he flew and he went like this and my line was still going like this and he flew right into my line. And then I see this. It's like, here goes my rattle trap skittering across the water. And then it starts going up in the air and it starts going up in the air. And I'm like, oh no, this isn't going to be good. Tonk. I got him.
Did you get your lure back?
Oh yeah. I got him. I hooked him in the leg. And I'll tell you what, they can pinch the hell out of you, them suckers. He pinched the hell out of me. It was pretty cool.
how about the loon that your client caught?
Pelicans, guys catching pelicans, Canada goose on a popper. Yeah. I mean, those seagulls, when you're throwing a topwater, you know, a popper, man, you got to pull them away from them suckers.
How about the loon that your client caught?
Oh, yeah. Caught a loon one time on a jerkbait. And I chased that sucker all over the place. Now, you know, a loon is the fastest swimming. It looks like an F-18 underwater when it's swimming. Honestly, I mean, it's unbelievable. They use them wings, you know, and they swim with their wings. It's the most unbelievable thing I've ever seen. And I almost had him. Very last second, he did a last-ditch effort dive underneath the boat and broke the line off. Then I thought, well, he's dead because he's going to go down and try to pick that out. He's going to get hooks caught in his beak and whatever. But at the end of the day, we went over that way to see, you know, if we could find him. And there he was sitting on the bank all tuckered out, you know, and he looked like he was good to go, you know, good to go. So, yeah.
I hope Pete is not listening.
Well, the thing about it was George and I were there like the week before, and we were like, and George said to me, he said, this loon keeps coming over here and bothering me. He said, when you see it, make sure you watch where you cast. So here comes this loon coming over and, you know, bothering us, you know, and finally we're like, screw it, let's leave. So I went back there the next week on a guy trip with a guy customer, and I tell this guy, listen, if you see that loon, don't cast. Wait till we, make sure he's going one direction. You're casting the opposite. Well, we were catching a few fish, and the next thing you know, he goes, "Oh, I got a good one." And I'm like, "Oh my God, he's got that loon." Sure enough, man, this loon comes out of the water and porpoised. And then he went back under, and we chased that thing down. And I'm not kidding you, Nick. I had that thing, a trolling motor on 10, and it was all I could do to keep up with that sucker.
Awesome.
Amazing, yeah. Yeah, osprey. Oh, I can't imagine catching an osprey. That thing would tear the hell. I'd cut my line. They would shred you. Absolutely shred you. Okay. Let's get this show going. We got a lot to talk about tonight. This is our favorite show of the year. This is our jerkbait show, which we're going to get into here in a little bit. And we love talking about jerkbait. So that's going to be coming up here in just a couple of minutes. But first, we're a tackle shop. We love talking about tackle, and this is called Tackle Talk. Yeah. Well, another week, another bunch of tackle. We love talking with tackle. We get to mess with it all week long, but man, we love talking about it. What do you got for us, George?
Well, I got some stuff here. I got a Lamborghini.
Ooh, Lambo.
I got a I got like a something practical, more like a a Honda Accord. I got a Lamborghini and a Honda Accord. I'm going to show you the Lambo first. So this rod's pretty cool. And I got the big gun here. I got the 7.6, medium heavy, moderate fast, flipping rod, multi-purpose rod. This is the St. Croix Legend X2. Let's get a shot of those graphics there for you.
Brand new rod. Look at that thing. Look at that handle.
Here's the handle. That's a carbon fiber handle.
Winding checks, beautiful. Cork.
Top grade cork. Comes with a Fuji keeper that you can put anywhere you want because, half the people complain if the keeper's up here. The other half people complain if the keeper's back here.
Yeah.
So now you can essentially bitch it yourself. So these are Torzite guides. So this is like the state of the art of guide ring with titanium frames. So these are like primo. Now this flipping stick, the bottom two are double foot just because it's a flipping stick. But then you transfer into a single foot guide train, low profile. But what's interesting about this rod is couple things. The blank is, St. Croix names their graphite their own names. The blank is an SC7. They have SC5, they have SC6, now they have SC7. So this would be like
pretty special.
I mean, I don't really know how to, talk about the actual graphite other than, it's obviously very light, very strong. And how do I know this? Because I've been fishing with these rods since the beginning of the year. And I've made it my mission with a 7.3 medium heavy extra fast to break it. Under normal fishing, not just doing things stupid, and I can't break it. They're using a product, and it's a company that they partnered with, actually, that has started to use a product called graphene in graphite fishing rods. because if you ever want to read something cool, read up on graphene. Just type that into your Google search and watch what AI tells you about graphene. So this company, graphene can be used for anything and everything, but this company has found a way to integrate it into fishing rod blanks. Now, how they're doing that, we don't know, but it is, extremely strong. So it's enhancing the strength. It has no weight, so it's not adding any weight. It's essentially, you can call it whatever you want to call it. It's called graphene, but essentially it's just a strong, if you will, component of the rod blank. Okay, it's not something that you can pick up and see and touch and feel. I mean, you'd have to feel the element that it's in, like a sheet of graphite, a sheet of carbon. So suffice it to say, these rods are extremely strong. They're very sensitive. They're very light, and they're beautiful. And we keep it real here. We are independent retailers. We are independent of any, ties. We're friends with everyone in the industry when it comes to product, but we keep it real. And I think that's why a lot of people, are happy with our
Fish is really good.
results. Look at that
Fish
little
is
cool little American flag logo on there.
Fish is really good. It's super light.
That's made in America.
Made in America.
The cork is premium grade. And now they are still sticking with this Trigon stuff, okay? So now they have different levels of Trigon. So what they mean by Trigon is, and you'll see as I rotate this handle, we're kind of wide and flat. Now we're kind of cutting back in. So it's almost got a taper to it like a wedge. And one of the guys that's really there's a couple guys at St. Croix that are like primo rod design type people. They really are. They're hardcore bass fishermen, and they had some input on this. And this part of this handle right here on the casting, this is a acceptable Trigon. Now, the rear trigger in the back, that's in case, you're fishing in some sketchy country there and somebody comes up and tries to interfere with you. You can get some good grip on there when you're fighting them off. No, that's not even funny. That's just for looks. I mean, that's completely serves no purpose other than it looks cool. When you're two-handed casting, you do notice it, but it does look cool. So there you go. Legend X2. So if you're a Legend X fan, you're going to have to adapt because the Legend X is now the Legend X2. Now, they are a little pricey, but that's okay. We don't judge here. Feel free to buy one or as many as you want. We're not going to give you any strange looks or, they basically range from like 610 to 645. So, I mean, they have a 15-year warranty. They have a really good replacement policy. It's you break this thing, you're probably only looking at like 100 or so out of your pocket. 100, 125, something like that.
Yeah.
So that is the Legend. And spinning and casting, obviously. The spinning are well stocked right now. The casting are a little sketchy. They're when St. Croix does these really high-end rods, they do them in very limited quantities. Okay. They build them constantly, but they don't load the warehouse up. So this is going to be one of these, what I call dribs and drabs. Essentially, it's going to be, small quantities, 2, 3, 4, 5 of a model in and out for at least the first half of the year till everybody who wants them gets them. But we have them constantly coming in. There's a box in the back room right now with some of the back orders in it. So any questions, feel free to call here at the shop. We can go over the specific questions and concerns you have. We do have some good data on our webpage. We have some of their breakdowns, some of the matrix that St. Croix has developed, with your lengths and your weights and your powers and your tapers. Their extra fast tapers are really, really perfect. So check them out.
Yeah.
Surf around, take a look. Mike, I know you fished them. Nick, I know you fished them. Let me get your guys' opinion on, a brief, if you could. These are guys that fished them. We fished them all year. So, roll with it.
Right. For me, obviously there's different, before they come out with the final product, they're testing things, and I'm involved in that. So it's pretty cool. And then the final product, the one that I used the most was the flipping model. I think George had in his hand there. And also maybe the one that you have in your hand too. It was a 7'1" medium.
7'1" medium fast.
Yep. That's what I was using too. And they were just
no weight to it. No weight to it at all.
Blocking handle, carbon fiber.
Very sensitive.
Of course, your trigon is up front here. So depending on which finger you put it on your spinning reel, it's going to come in at you like that.
And George, that flipping rod that I used down in Florida, I mean, I was giving it to him, and that thing's a workhorse.
You were dropping the hammer.
I was dropping the hammer. I wanted to see what that rod had.
I've been doing it correctly, and Mike as well. I have been boat flipping everything on that 7.3 medium heavy extra fast. And that rod is a medium heavy rod, but the extra fast tip is a little lighter. That's why they make a medium heavy fast if you want a little bit of a stiffer tip, or a medium heavy extra fast if you want a more all-around tip.
I think they call that, don't they call that chatterbait rod?
No. We've been throwing chatterbait, spinnerbait.
It's a great chatterbait rod.
We've been throwing a jig on it. We've been doing a little bit of everything on it. That's a 7.3 medium heavy extra fast.
Yeah.
It's just a good rod. What's your take, Mike, on them? I know you fished that rod a lot.
I fished that rod a lot. I fished a lot of chatterbaits on it, and I was blown away by how accurate. I don't even know what was going on with that rod, but how accurate my casting was. I'm usually like 9 out of 10, and I was 9.5 out of 10 on that one. I mean, that thing was super aggressive and super fast and super. I mean, I don't know. It just casted really, really well. That's what I was impressed with. I kept saying to George, man, this thing casts so easy, such an easy casting rod. So sensitivity was unbelievable. How they're super light. So I don't know. It's a great rod. I mean, they came out with some rods over the years that we just weren't, they tried to push the envelope on certain things and we weren't impressed with. This one I can honestly tell you we're impressed with this. We
it's a nice rod.
It's a nice rod. It really is.
It's a nice rod. This rod gets, I'm going to give it high marks.
Yeah.
I'm going to give it high marks. If anything, if you're someone who really likes to go to the exotic, the high end rod models from a company, if anything, I would, before I pulled the trigger on any high end rod, I would give them a look. And because we're getting to the point in rods where, we're getting to the a lot of companies have pushed the envelope. Now you're going to have opinions. Mm-hmm. You're going to have, if you hang out in here on a rainy Saturday and the guys are shaking rods, you're going to have your you know, you're going to have your G Loomis guys, you're going to have your Shimano guys, and so on and so forth, your St. Croix guys, your Daiwa guys, so on and so forth. Everybody making a good argument for their brand.
Mm-hmm.
I can tell you what I think about rods that I find interesting. I think that as far as sensitivity, as far as what we can feel with a fishing rod, I think we're there. I don't think that there's anything left that can be felt. I don't think you can feel anything else. Now, not with all rods, but with that,
The best
you know,
of the
that
best that are out
pinnacle,
there. Yeah.
that pinnacle rod from a couple of companies. And it's not necessarily just their top of the line rod. Like, for example, in St. Croix, they make a 400 range rod called a Legend Elite, which, and I'm just talking St. Croix, and this is strictly my opinion, that particular rod is as sensitive as any rod that they make.
Yeah.
Now, not every model, but like a 7-foot medium fast spinning rod in the St. Croix line, that Legend Elite will stack up. If there was some kind of sensitivity meter, it would equal all of them, in my opinion. And so on and so forth through the other lines. So it's not necessarily just one model of rod. There's multiple models of rods. Now, there's features of those rods, obviously, that we like or we don't like. The handles, the weight. You know, there's some rods that are out on the market that are a little bit heavier. I mean, by heavier, I mean than the exotics. But they're a higher end rod, and they're as sensitive as the exotics in those companies. So, you know, we're getting there with, you know, these rod engineers, these rod designers, these guys that are doing it in-house. They're pushing it. They're getting there.
I think the big thing with it, the technology now, is to get this graphite to hold together, because they're coming to the point where they're trying to make them so light. The walls of the blank gives you, you know, the thin walls of the blank gives the ultimate sensitivity, but it's hard to hold that together.
Well, I mean, I'd like to discuss this because that's a great point.
Yeah.
I don't see the breakage.
No, that's what I'm saying.
I mean, for that to be an issue, there has to be breakage. I'm not seeing breakage.
Well,
I'm attempting to break rods. I do it on a daily basis. In a proper way.
No, I know that, but that's where they're at when they come out with these new graphites. Is what I'm saying is,
I get what
when
you're
they're
saying.
coming out with these new graphites, they have to do things to help hold them together. Otherwise, they will break.
Well,
henceforth, the reason they didn't make a SV7 rod or SV6 rod. Remember that one graphite, they couldn't keep it together.
Well, I think
so. They mixed it. They blended it.
I think SC6 you can't make a rod out of.
Right. So they had to blend it.
But
they wanted to.
No, you can use it to enhance rods.
Right.
This SC7, I think, is this collaboration with this graphene.
Right. Exactly. Yeah. Exactly right. And they had to do that because that's the only way to help hold that type of graphite together.
Well, maybe.
And it could be that they're using the SC6, more of the SC6 graphite in this, and then enhancing it with the graphene. However, they're doing it. But my point is that there is breakage in high light rods that has happened already, and it doesn't get to the market, but they break, and then they have to go back, and then they work on things, and that's why when they said about SC7 and graphene, I think that's why they had to do something like that, because those properties are what helps hold the rod together.
Could be. It could be.
You remember I know. Nano resin?
Yeah.
You know how that revolutionized rod building?
Well, for one company it did, because they had an exclusive on it.
Right. It revolutionized it.
Well, it made their rods extremely strong and light.
That's exactly it. It made them extremely strong and light. And that's the nano resin help is what they had to have to hold that graphite together.
Oh, I'm with you. I just when you go to the point where you say, well, they have to do this or they have to, we don't know that. For example, that same rod's not using nano resin today, and it's lighter and stronger than the first.
Yeah, but it's not
generation.
the same kind of rod.
It's lighter and stronger.
Yeah, but I don't know about that.
I'm just saying materials evolve.
Yeah.
Which is why we're where we are in the rod industry. Like, for example, nano resin didn't exist 20 years ago.
Right.
Graphene didn't exist in a fishing rod until now. But if you look at the other building processes, that every builder has a specific to them patented building process, those are the evolution of material. And then, hey, how can we use that to build a rod? You know, look at Shimano's foray into the jigging rods in saltwater 20 years ago, 25 years ago. And you're like, this is going to catch a tuna? And then learning that process and then turning it into Poison Adrena, turning it into X Pride. Those rods are stupid strong because of high power X and the carbon tape that they use in Spiral X. And on and on and on. There's graphites that are being used that can only be used with certain resins. Those resins wouldn't even work on other rods. So what I'm saying is we have, as rod builders have evolved and are constantly pushing the envelope. I think we're at the point where there's not
much more you can do.
There's nothing else to feel.
Not much more.
They can get lighter.
I think they can get lighter and
but
stronger.
I don't know that you can feel anything else, right? So it's very interesting, and we get really excited about them when they come out. And that rod right there is exciting.
Exceptional.
It's exciting. It's very, very exciting.
Mm-hmm.
And, you know, we tell it like it is. You know, there's other rods that these companies make that are pretty impressive, but they're not like these, okay? Now, the other rod that they brought out, this is sort of a St. Croix takeover because we just got a ton of St. Croix in. The other rod that they brought out is they redid the Premier. So, you know, the Premier was your grandfather's rod, okay? And it very well could have been the first decent rod that anyone of many people watching were exposed to. You know, I used to call it the gateway drug to graphite, you know, because very light compared to what was out there and very sensitive. And I think there's a reason that they did not change it much at all in the last 30 plus years. You know, they've gotten a little lighter because of the materials evolving, but that's about it. Well, now they have changed. They you know, and there's probably some Premier purists that are going to be pissed off, but we have a new logo. Really, really hard to say. Get a little more of a close-up. There we go. So we got the new logo. There's a whole list of information written on here. You know, this one here tells you the model number. Then it tells you what that means, the action, the type of carbon, the weight range, the line range, and made in the USA. It has all these cool little numbers on here like FRS and TET, which is, you know, their nicknames for their technologies, how they're enhancing their tapers. You know, their TET is their taper enhancement, how they're getting these. They have beautiful tapers. That's a beautifully fast tapered rod. Their tapers are beautiful. The process by which they cut the carbon sheets to create these tapers, that's their TET. The FRS is their, you know, they're basically, it's fortified resin. Essentially, it's they're telling you that their resins that they're using in this particular rod is 33% stronger than the previous resins. I don't know. They feel great. They're legendary.
Yeah, and they really didn't mess too much with the handles. I mean, they changed them a little bit, but
They changed brands.
Yeah, they have a new brand, but they kept the full cork, which is really important for Premier guys.
Sea Guide.
Yep.
Sea Guide. Now, so this would be like not a graphite reel seat, but some type of
composite,
plastic type of composite. Nice cork.
Really nice cork on their rods.
Traditional.
Beautiful.
Very traditional line keeper, fully closed in line keeper. Your line will never get snagged on that. Sea Guides.
That's
aluminum oxide.
That's what's real new about that is the guide train is totally new.
Sea Guide with the longer
upgraded
frames, aluminum oxide.
More of a braid friendly guide train.
The price got upgraded. This is a 7-foot medium spinning rod. It's $175. But hey, prices are going up in this day and age. Even though they're made in America, these parts aren't. So they're also subject to tariffs. But that's the price for the whole year. That price will not change under any circumstances, no matter what happens in the political world. And they're nice rods. So that's your Premier. A ton of models. And I'll tell you something. What's really cool about Premier, if you're a traveler or if you like a two-piece rod, they make every model in 1 and 2 piece.
And they do a great two-piece rod.
They do a nice two-piece rod.
Their furls are phenomenal. Never have problems with their furls.
Never have.
The tapers on a two-piece are really, really good. They're not those stiff bottom with a whippy top. It's a very tapered blank. They just do really great stuff. But I think more importantly with the Premier for me is it's that rod that is a workhorse rod. It's affordable, super awesome graphite. That SC2 graphite is awesome graphite. It's sensitive. It casts. The tapers are great on it. It's got the full cork on it, so it's that rod that for guys who don't like all these crazy handles, they can go to a traditional style handle, and then get some upgrades in the guides on it. But they didn't mess with it. The 7-foot, they have the 7-foot, the 6.6, the 6-foot, the 5.5, the 5 and the 4.5, all the way down to the 4.5. And it's all the the traditional actions, the medium, the ultra lights, the lights, the medium lights, the mediums, the medium heavies, so they have all that. Not a lot of casting rods.
There's, the core.
Yeah, a couple, 6.6s,
7-footers.
So there'll be some casting rods there. But
what's nice about the casting rods, and I think we only stock the 2-piece. They're 2-piece casting rods.
Yeah,
which are kind of rare.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's your rod show for tonight. Your Premiers are basically $145 to $185, give or take a couple dollars.
Yep.
So that, the prices are creeping up a little bit, but they're not bad for a really nice rod. Something you'll be happy with for a long time.
Yeah.
All right, guys, I got something else for you here that's pretty cool. We've been having a lot of fun for over a year now with our Bubba scale tournaments. I mean, we have Bubba scale tournaments all the time. We had one last weekend.
Mm-hmm.
We get together in the boat, 2 or 3 of us in a boat. We have a Bubba scale thing, or we see what our best 5 is, or whatever. But my point is, we've been running that Bubba scale hard. And we all 3 of us. I know Nick really likes the Pro Series. I like the Pro Series. I know Mike likes the Pro Series. So we're all running that Pro Series. But that's over $200. But it comes with every bell and whistle there is. I mean, you can, it'll link with the app. You can do, I'm getting the Go Fast sign here. It'll link with the app and it does a bunch of other stuff. But there's a standard series that doesn't do all that. But now we have the light. For you guys that want a Bubba, but you don't have the wallet like a Bubba. $69.95. And you have a 60-pound capacity. So if you like fishing for catfish, we good. You have the same plus or minus 0.3% accuracy. You have full color display. Now it's little. It's little. The display's small. And it's Bluetooth connectable to the app. So if you sign up for their app, if you like tracking your data and everything, now this you're going to have to pay for the app. The Pro Series you get free 2 years. But you can put it in competition mode. You can put it in tournament mode. You can put it in rally mode. So you can set the bag. And yeah, I mean, great option, especially if you just want to have a scaled away fish.
Well, an accurate scale.
And call.
Yep.
And
pretty
waterproof. Well,
unbelievable.
Water resistant. If we say waterproof, somebody will fill their bathtub up, put it in the bathtub for a week, and then call up and raise hell. My scale got wet. Okay.
What are they? $69.99.
$69.95.
Yeah. $69.95.
Don't get crazy.
Perfect for just a great to have the quality of a Bubba.
Well, it is Bubba.
Yeah, to have the quality of Bubba.
It's quality.
Yeah.
It's great.
Yep.
Yeah, so check that out. Now we have all 3 Bubba smart scales in the house and on the website. The Pro Series, whatever the other one's called, and now the Bubba Smart, the Smart Light.
Perfect.
Pretty good. And Bubba tournaments are fun.
They're fun.
All right, so the next item I want to show you, we're actually going to talk about like this item, and we're also going to talk about some of the ways that we use it, some of the techniques. So this is going to be like tackle talk melded with a technique talk. Nice little conversation. I think it's going to be fun. I think you guys are going to love it. So this next item is a tail spinner made for plastics. So we have the XZone. We have the XZone tail spinner. So you got your spring lock. You got your little swivel. And that's a ball bearing swivel, people. That's not a little barrel swivel. Look at that. Look how she spins.
That's ball bearing?
Hell yeah.
Yeah. Right on.
I'm not even sure what grade of bearing that is, but look at this. For that little blade. A lot of these spinners that these companies make, that's like a barrel swivel, but it's not even a good barrel swivel, and it binds up all the time.
Mm-hmm.
So we have willow nickel, willow gold, and these are gold plated.
That's Colorado.
I'm sorry, Colorado. And then we have willow nickel, willow gold hammered. And I don't know how everybody's experience is with these, but I mean, I've had some experience with this. When it first came out, we saw it at play in a Bassmasters Classic. We saw a guy make a little run at the Classic, fishing a Senko with a tail spinner, and it just captivated all of us, and we were either making them or buying them.
Yeah.
And I know we sold a ton of them, and through whatever reason, some of the companies that we dealt with, they came and went, whatever. Well, these guys we've been doing business with forever, and their stuff is pretty high quality. So check this. We have your Senko. This is a 4-inch fat Senko. Now, you know, if it's a tough day and you need a little something extra, a little kick, a little boost, a little flash,
A little something.
a little something to set things different on highly pressured waters or whatever, you know. I wish I'd have thought of this last Sunday of that freaking Bubba tournament I fished. It mentally scarred me. You're just going to simply take your little tail spinner and you're just going to be careful. Be careful. Take your time. Don't rush it. Got to get it square. And just thread it up in there. Put it on there. I'm going to show you when it's done here. I know I've got it covered up, but I like to take that into there. You don't want to go up on that double layer. Everything's nice and straight. Oh, my. This Texas rig at, you can fish it weightless or with a little bullet weight. And as that thing goes, this tail's spinning. As you're twitching it along or shaking it, it's wobbling and wiggling and throwing off some flash. You know, you get around a bunch of bait, struggling, could be a game changer. I know I've had circumstances with it. I remember when we first started fishing, I was pre-fishing for a tournament with my dad, and we got in the back of this creek, and you could walk on the bait. And it was super shallow. We were having a hard time getting bit. And we started talking about these blade spinners. We didn't have any, so he made some right there in the boat. MacGyver made them.
2.0.
And he started getting bit, and that was that. He wouldn't even let me leave the creek. He was having so much fun. So we are practicing for a tournament. He goes, well, today we're catching fish. Now, your Willow, your Colorado, I wouldn't get all bogged down on when to do what. Hey, you got any experience with this, Nick? You ever do the tail spinner thing?
Yeah, actually up in Cayuga.
What can you tell us about it? Can you enlighten us?
Well, a little bit. I mean, we were throwing Senkos. It was highly pressured areas, and the Senko bite was getting old because these fish seen everything. So we're like, hey, let's spice it up a little bit. And it was not my idea. It was actually my buddy's. He goes, hey, Nick, try one of these. So I threw it on there, and immediately I caught a nice largemouth. Now, it worked out great. We put fish in the boat, and we did real well. Along with that came some toothy critters that also like some flashy things. But it was a little bit of a game changer for that day.
Oh, yeah.
But yeah, it was a good time. How about you, Mike?
I used it a few times. I never had success with it.
Really?
No, I don't know.
Now, I will tell you, I never used the Willow blade. I only had the Colorado.
Oh, I could tell you that's all I used was the little blade. So maybe that's what happened to me.
Okay.
But I don't know. It was one of them things where that's what they didn't want the couple times that I used it. They didn't want it with that flash on there. And listen, Nick, that can be. And it's a not always all the time thing.
Or maybe you're just not on Nick and I's level. Just running a couple possibilities.
I was catching him just fine without it. You're not on my level.
Now, I fished with a guy one time that took a fluke and cut the back of the fluke off and put the tail spinner in the back of the fluke. Now, I don't know if I can do it with this one. I might have to cut a little more off. But he didn't do it with this one. He did it with this one. This is the Z-Man, which is made for Elastec because you cannot screw one of those screws into Elastec. And he put that in the back of a fluke. And I don't know how much he cut off. I wasn't really paying attention. I know for about 2 hours, I was getting outfished dramatically. How you like that? How you like me now? Huh?
That's great because it gives you options that you can do it in a lot of different things. I mean, just think of all the opportunities you can do that.
Look
with.
at that.
Well, and that could be the difference between catching and not.
Well, like you said, you guys were in an area where it's high pressure, and you just made that little change, and you started catching fish. You know, there's times where it doesn't work. It's too much. And I think that's when it happened. What happened to me, you know, I was all crazy about. I mean, don't get me wrong, Nick. I caught fish on it before, but it just wasn't a huge game changer like you guys had that success with it.
Yeah, we did.
And I've talked to a lot of customers who said I put that thing on and it was unbelievable what happened. And I talked to another guy. I was like, I never really had that, you know, like me, never really had the great day with it.
Right.
I'm sure I will.
How about the back of a TRD? Or the back of a Z-Man finesse worm, or the back of a Z-Man Senko type bait. This holds big time.
Yeah, it is impressive.
Yeah.
But anyways, this goes back a ways. And I know in the couple instances where I used it, I wanted it. I wanted to have it with me. And it twice it made a difference. Does it always make a difference? No. Does anything always make a difference? Can we track that? I don't know. This is a secret weapon.
But it is, George, because everybody that's listening or watching can know this. How many times were you on any body of water and you're not doing well, and you look at your tackle box, you look at everything you got, and you're like, I tried everything. No, you didn't.
Yeah.
There's little things like this.
There's all kinds of tricks.
That can totally change up your day.
Yes, absolutely.
This is these are tweaks that must be attempted, you know, and especially like September, October timeframe when stuff can be can be so frustrating. You know, maybe that little flash.
Yeah.
Maybe that little
important.
Maybe that little subtlety. You know, maybe you're wacky rigging it with that blade. I don't know, but these are of the highest quality, and that bigger diameter screw, guys, holds way better than the small diameter screw.
Important to note that the XZones are for your regular plastics. And then if you want to do it and use them in any of the Lastex, you have to get the TRD one.
TRD spins.
Yeah, TRD spins.
Now, if your buddy is on the boat with you and he's fishing a Lastec and you're thumping him on a Senko regular, and he wants one of your blades,
give him one.
Please give him one, and then
don't say nothing.
20 minutes later, when he's still trying to screw that freaking thing into that, he's getting cigarette lighters out and pliers and
absolutely don't tell him. But that's good for you guys to know. You know, there is the two different versions for the two different types of plastics, but the quality level of the XZone with the ball bearing swivel is really important.
The other thing that happened to me one time on fluke fishing, with a near and dear soul to this shop, Mr. Mikey Poole, was he rigged up a little blade like that and put it on his bend of his hook. And it was punishing. He was just crashing fish on that thing.
Yep.
So give that a try, all you fluke guys. Try putting the blade also on the belly of your hook and leaving your fluke regular. Try that both ways. All you Senko guys, give that a try on your next tough bite. See what happens. All you TRD guys, next time things are getting tough, try that.
Richard Bertoli, absolutely saltwater. Use them in saltwater.
You can use anything in saltwater. It just depends on what you do after that.
Yeah, you got to rinse them off. I don't care, like ball bearing, whatever. Stainless ball bearings, it doesn't matter. They all rust, every single one of them.
Except for the coated ball bearings and the reels.
Well,
Shimano ARBs, Daiwa CRBBs do not rust.
Right.
They will not rust. So there you go.
All right.
I thought that was some fun stuff right there. I'm partial to it on the Senko with no weight in shallow water as a little something something. So there you go. That's the XZone blade spin. the Z-Man TRD spin. You're going to have to find a spot to put them too, man, because them little suckers are going to disappear on you. I would probably put that in with like a terminal tackle box. Take a little cubicle in there and throw them in there. Keep them in the bag though, because all that bouncing around and thumping around in your boat for overtime is going to scratch them up, tarnish them up, dirty them up, and take that nice shine off of them.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
All right. What else you got, George?
Well, I've been following this Ultimate Angler Championship because the concept of it is $500,000 to first place. Now, I mean, say what you will. That gets my attention. And it's on Lake Gunnersville, which is one of the top on that hand fisheries in our country, which is amazing considering the absolute nonstop fishing pressure that it receives. But it's such a well-managed lake. It's such a big lake. It's so full of fish. And after a while of searching to try to find out the leaderboard, I found it today on Fishing Chaos. So if you want to follow along on Fishing Chaos. But here we go. First place, 5 fish, 26.5.
Gosh. Are they allowed to use live scope?
No live scope.
Ah.
But guess what? Third place. Yeah, this kid can only catch him on live scope. If it's not a live scope tournament, he can't do too good. These young kids, they suck when you take their live scope away. Well, except for Tucker Smith with 25-2. And when he takes that $500,000 check home on Sunday, we'll talk more with Mr. Live Scope. 12th place, I can guarantee you, he doesn't need a live scope. He doesn't even probably have one. 21.5, Andy Montgomery.
Wow, Andy Montgomery.
Tied with his buddy Double E Squared, and E Squared has the lunker 7.4.
Wow, he got 10 grand today.
Ooh.
10 grand for a lunker every day.
Jay Securig.
Oh, yeah.
Our guy from the north, 18. He's really, the only way he can catch him is on live scope. He's one of the best scopers there is. Well, today he caught him pretty good, 20 pounds, 15 ounces. Randy Howe, flat top, 19th with 2012, showing the kid ain't the only one with a Howe name can catch him. Our buddy Alex Davis in 20th place with 2011. So we got 2010 in 21st place, Kyle Welcher. 2011 and 20th, 2012 and 19th, 2015 and 18th. I'd say the leaderboard's a little tight. 23rd place is 20 pounds.
Wow.
Matt Becker. 74th place is 17 pounds.
George,
Keith Pochak.
was there any type of like live coverage or anything?
No.
So we don't really know what they're doing.
No.
No, this is their first year. You know, people are bitching at them for not having good coverage. Whatever. Can you just let somebody get something going out there?
Give them props for $500,000, 10 grand for a lunker. Holy hell!
Put your keyboard.
They're paying over $1.3 million.
Put your keyboard on park it for a minute and let them get going here.
Second place is 130 grand.
So
third place is 80 grand. That's crazy. Yeah.
You know what's really crazy, George? Who you said is in what, third? Tucker
Smith.
This kid.
I can only catch him on the live scope now.
And he won $1 million tournament.
Oh, but that was on a live scope.
But it's just crazy, like what he's having an opportunity at winning. It's like,
I don't know how he's doing it because he can't use live scope.
He might have it in there. Who is winning? What's the guy's name?
Mark McKegg, 26.5. Mark, I know you ain't sleeping good tonight because I just ran down some people that are on your tail. You are the equivalent of a quiet country village on the sea. And Mark, the Vikings are coming.
He's pressure's on.
And they're not coming for dinner.
Yeah.
Now, if you had your guess, George, and we'll find out, what would you say technique wise things are playing a little bit for them?
Well, I wouldn't be surprised if some of these guys are fishing offshore schools. Tight lining, shaking a minnow, 2D, old school style. But Guntersville is a wealth of luscious, beautiful
Grass.
massive flats of grass. And, you're going to catch a few fish on a frog, but when you put 200 guys loose on a lake, let them pre-fish for a couple days, that frog bite gets a little sketchy. But I'll tell you what, punching, you can say what you want about punching a big, giant grass flat, and if you've never done it, the punching part's not the problem. The problem is when you stop the boat and you look this way and you look that way and you look that way and all you see is a grass mat, you actually feel lost, and the needle in the haystack moment occurs. I wouldn't be a bit surprised if a lot of this isn't punching.
Yeah.
So we're going to see.
And punching.
We're going to see what holds up.
They're catching them on frogs too.
I'm sure Alex Davis is frogging.
Yeah.
And punching. We're going to see what holds up. Typically these weights will drop off tomorrow. It's a 3-day tournament. Can't wait to follow along. Now that we figured out how to do it.
Yeah.
And good stuff.
Yeah.
Good stuff.
Good stuff. What do you think, boys?
Well, George,
How do you feel about jerkbait fishing?
thing about it is it's that time of year. And this is the show that we wait for all year long. It's so exciting. I'm excited about it. It's a technique we love to talk about. It's near and dear to our heart. And today I walked outside here this evening. It's chilly. Somebody said on here it's going to be freezing temperatures in New York. And that means one thing. That means it's time to bust out the jerkbaits and be throwing them every single solitary day from here on out.
Yeah, well, I couldn't agree with you more. You and I come from the era of, fall into winter, late winter into spring, into the spawn. We're like prime jerkbait time. And the now we have, every kind of technique known to mankind, and it's all good. I mean, we love every one of them. I mean, we go down that path.
Mm-hmm.
We go down that path, all in, eating it up. And you'll adapt some of them, and some of them you won't adapt, right? Just like the spinner rig. I know people that are all about this, right? But a lot of us haven't adapted this. This is a situational thing. If you can adapt the jerkbait lifestyle, and now if you're a scoper, you always have 2 jerkbait rods on your deck. One is shallower than the other. I know I do.
Yeah.
So yeah, this is like the prime time, right?
Absolutely. This is when you want to be throwing them.
But you got to lock it in. You got to be all in. You got to be like, I need to learn this. I need to master this. I need to believe in this, because at the end of the day, you're going to have a pretty good catch of fish.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely.
If your buddy's on the back deck shaking a Ned rig and catching every 12-incher that swims and you haven't had a bite in an hour, you may have a problem sticking with your jerkbait. But if you do, particularly this time of the year, most days you will get 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 bites that you will remember and talk to your buddies about until the following week when you get to go out again.
And guys, let's take the forward facing out of the equation and let's just go old school fall. What would you be looking for that would say, I got to throw a jerkbait in this instance?
Well, it's the bait fish movement, the bait fish starting to move, the focus of the bait fish. on the focus of the bass on the bait fish really starting to change from it's the grouping up of fish. When you start seeing you're catching a fish and then there's more coming with it, it's the start of that true fall fishing where, oh man, look at that. There's three with it. That's starting to become like where they really want to throw the jerkbait, when you really have to be pitching that thing all the time and working with it. Yeah. Is there days that you're not going to catch them on a jerkbait? Absolutely. But not many because of the versatility of what a jerkbait can do. So that's when we start seeing 2, 3, 4 fish coming, man, we're ready. We're busting that thing out. Temperature wise, I mean, it could be 69, 70.
Yeah. Well, Mike and I had a good day. And by good, I mean, we caught fish. They were not the right fish, but we caught fish that we couldn't catch really a month ago.
Yeah. It can
on a jerkbait.
It can be that. It can be temperature. I used to say like, all right, man, what you got to wait till that 64, 62. Then the jerkbait is game on, but up until that point, there's so many other things that you can do. The top water is still killing it. The chatterbait is still working. The spinner bait's still working good. You don't have to slow it down with a jerkbait. But you can go out right now, 65-degree water temperature, 68-degree water temperature, 70-degree water temperature right now, depending on where you're at. You can go out there right now and just whack them on that thing. But it's as soon as you see those couple of fish coming in with your baits, and you start seeing some kind of a schooling effect happening, that's when the jerkbait really works, because now you can kind of set your boat up. You can kind of figure out where they're at and schooling at, and then you can kind of work that bait in those areas and really dial in on them. So that's what's good about it. You can figure out where they're at, and once you find one, there's a bunch there, and then you can work that area out really well with a jerkbait.
And Mike, you said slowing down a little bit from the other techniques. What's your cadence that time of year?
Well, right now it's a little bit faster cadence. I don't have to let it sit around at all. So as we get into this conversation tonight, you're going to start hearing a lot of conversation about the speed and retrieve, which is your cadence. Jerk, jerk, pause. Jerk, jerk, pause. Now, what is that pause? Is that, like Kevin Van Dam, like he's like on Tourette's or something, man. He's like, he fishes it like the craziest thing I've ever seen. And then you have, the suspending baits, suspending baits, so you can let it sit and pause that bait for a certain period of time. And that's where, water temperature has a lot to play with it. How aggressive the fish are for the day. Are they really schooling hard, where you can work it a lot faster. There's times where we'll fish schools and we'll be fishing a certain cadence, and then we'll have to change our cadence through the day to keep catching them. Well, sometimes you have to slow down. Sometimes you have to do that crazy, nutty retrieve to try to get those fish to react to it after you caught several fish, and they kind of shut off to it. So cadence is the biggest thing with, I shouldn't say the biggest, but it's pretty damn close to the biggest thing with jerkbait fishing.
Yeah, I as a rule of thumb, I'm kind of like totally locked in on jerk, jerk, pause, twitch, twitch, pause. The only thing I change, and I think Mike just covered it real well there, is the speed of that cadence. So it's always, for me, every now and again I'll throw an extra, crazy Ivan pop in there or whatever, but I just like to boom, boom, pause. But it might be, to Mike's point, pop, pop, like the last time when we caught him.
Yeah.
I mean, I was like solid on that thing, but it was boom, boom, pop. The pause was just less than a second.
Yeah.
It was still that, because what's happening there, and allow me to get into my collection. So I carry a couple jerkbaits with me to match these situations. This is my, we just call this the blend box, the blends. These are special purpose. Don't overlook, like, for example, if you do a lot, if you believe in the jerkbait, if you live, sleep, breathe, believe in the jerkbait, you're going to need, and you're going to grow. So now, don't sleep on a little bait like that. That, we've proven time and time again that, we love to say it, elephants eat peanuts. That is a ripstop number 9 from Rapala. And when you're in really shallow water, like, I can fish this very aggressively in a foot of water. Okay? Very few jerk baits can you do that. And when that bait's real small, I've had multiple times in multiple fisheries when there's a ton of small bait around where this little guy works. So I keep some off the wall baits like that in here. I always keep let's see, where's my Strike King baits? Very, very good. Always keep my Strike King baits. 300 deeps, 200s. Got to have those. They have a totally different action. Anyways, my point is, you'll learn. There's my X wraps. There's some crazy stuff in here, right? You got to have clown. You got to have a really loud clown. There's just times when you got to shock them. You got to shock them into existence. So you need your crazy box set up. But my bread and butter, two boxes I can live off of. A Lucky Craft box. And I got my 78s.
Very important.
And I've got my hundreds. I've got some silence in here. I've got some 98s. This is an intruder right here. He doesn't belong in here. That's a Jackal re-range. That's in another box. He's got to leave. Yeah, so you need some specialty baits in here. 128s. You got to have your 128s. You got to have your 110s. You got to have your 78s. Keep those handy. You got to have suspend dots. Got to throw some suspend dots in every one of your boxes so you're not looking for them. Even though these baits suspend, here's a prime example. There's a 78. That's got 2 dots on it. Whatever the water temperature was, whatever the situation was, here's the exact same lure. No dots. So you got to have that. You have to make those adjustments.
I think the big thing there too, that he's going through these boxes is body profiles. You're seeing different body profiles there. The fatter, thicker body profile. And then the next box he gets to, you'll see maybe a different profile. But what's funny about our boxes, look at the colors, Nick.
So as a rule of thumb,
look down in there.
And I do prefer them with hooks on them.
There's not a shit ton of colors in there.
But as a rule of thumb,
there's a few variations, but there's very, 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 little colors.
If you have a bait that you can see through, okay, so that's going to be a ghost. This color is called Ghost Minnow. And you can have this. This is Lucky Craft. You can have this in any brand you want. But if you have a bait that you can see through, and then you have a bait that is opaque, this one's called Chartreuse Shed. You can generally cover a lot of variables. Clear water, sunny day, clear water, cloudy day, dingy water, Is it perfect every time? No. But you are in that range, right? And then as you evolve as a jerkbait fisherman, you're going to run into situations where I had a tournament I talked about before, pre-spawn, largemouth, tidal water, shallow water, overnight, massive cold front. These fish were in 2 and 3 foot of water on the inside of a grass line, and they shut down. I busted out a 78 and clown. I couldn't catch them any other way.
That's a great cold front bait, Nick. When the water really shuts down, the water, water goes
Downsize,
goes into that low 50s, and it was at high 50s. It goes down low 50s. We'll go to that bait right there and catch them.
That was a pre-spawn tidal water tournament, and that bait saved the day. And by the looks of it, it might even been this one, but it's downsize, heavier line to keep it up, and the pause. Pay attention. Now that's what you really got to pay attention to. If they're eating it on the pause, then you got your work cut out for you, because they're willing to eat the jerkbait, and the better fish are going to eat the jerkbait, but you have to recognize that. So something I carry to combat that kind of a situation, let's say it's big time blue sky, high pressure, and they're really turned off, silent. So always have a couple silent baits with you. I always carry some silent 110s from Megabass. I always carry some silent Lucky Crafts. Some of them are models that you really struggle to get. So when I see them, I grab a handful. Silent. That is an equalizer on a tough bite. Okay? So
Feather in the tail.
Occasionally.
Yeah. There's guys that believe in having a feather in the tail when it's tough out,
Occasionally, and normally when we make these adjustments is you're missing fish. They're swiping at it. You can't hook them. So this particular day, put the feather on, worked.
One of the greatest jerk baits, that a lot of people know about it is the X-Wrap. That thing has been around forever and ever and ever. Has one of my favorite colors in that lineup, as everybody knows. But they have a feather on the back, and they kind of got that mainstream in jerkbait fishing. And especially in that dead sticking, where you're dead sticking. Yeah, that's the olive right there. I love that bait right to death. But especially when you're dead sticking, that thing will kind of just sit out there and swim and add a little extra something to get the strike. Think of it like George putting the spinner blade in the back of a Senko. The feather on the back of a jerkbait is the same thing. It's just a little added something or other to get those fish to commit to that bait. But the X-Wrap has caught a lot of fish for a lot of people, and I don't use it a ton, but I do use it a little bit. So
here's a brand new one I haven't even thrown. I mean, I have, it's my backup. I buy them in pairs when they're good ones. There's the other one, but had a question on here about flash boost. Let me tell you, this bait right here.
We're flash boost boot junkies too.
The 115. Get yourself a sketchy situation. And I've had this work in extremely cold weather, and I've had it work, normal temperatures. But the fish were skittish, and you have that mirror suspended in there on that wire and that flash scale body, which resonates that out. This is a premium bait. It's loaded with premium hooks. But I like to fish this. This bait will run about, on 10-pound test line, this bait will go down about 6 feet. So I like to fish this, 3, 4, 5, 6 foot of water. And if they're eating something else really good, I don't throw this bait. But if they're not, I've dialed them in on this bait. I've had a tremendous couple days on this bait.
Flash bait's legit, really is. I mean, we've proven it over and over.
So the moral of the story is this: you have to learn and master the jerkbait. And we talk about this a lot, but here's what your jerkbait needs to do. So when you work at rod, and we talk about popping that rod with the wrist, the rod does not travel feet. The rod stays right here in this zone right here. Okay? You can work it here, you can work it here, you can work it here, but it stays in front of you. Because what happens is when you pop that, even if it's 2 quick back-to-back pops, you have to recoil back. The rod has to recoil back. This is this is more important than all these boxes of baits. And what bait to use, and what line to use, and what rod to use, and what reel to use, and when to do this, and when to do that. None of that matters if you can't do this. What's happening is this bait is, if you could slow it down, this bait's kicking because it's being overworked. And then it's kicking again. So that's peeling. If your rod moves, 6 feet, your bait moves 6 feet. So that bait has to stay in front of you. That rod has to stay in front of you, and you're looking for that pause. So each one of these kicks is individual. If you don't throw that rod back, this kick goes into this kick.
All right, young man. You're throwing that bait around.
Yeah.
Should I get the string a while?
Might as well. I'm probably going to get hooked. I spent a lot of years fishing with other people in my boat. Guide clients, other tournament partners, fun fishing with, people that were in the industry. The hardest thing I think that I've ever seen people struggle with is the proper way to fish a hard or a soft stick bait or jerk bait. If you can't individualize those twitches, you can't make your bait do that. If you can't make your bait do that, you're never, ever going to be a good jerkbait fisherman.
Well,
and all the rest of this doesn't matter.
Yeah, and the big word that we're kind of getting at here is slack line. It's called a slack line twitch, and that's the thing where you, like George says, keep it out in front of you, start and recoil the rod. And when you recoil the rod, you leave the slack in the line. Slack line jerkbaiting is a difference. When I tell this to guys all the time, is a difference between 5 bites and 1 bite. That's what's going to happen, because what do you want to do when you're jerkbaiting? You want to pop the rod, and then you want to reel up tight so you can feel the bite, right? And that is the worst thing that you can possibly do. Even if you do what George says, and pop, recoil, and the last thing you do is reel up the slack to feel that bite, you just ruin that whole entire cast. You just might as well take that rod and reel, throw it right in the water. Honestly, turn around and go home, because that's about what you did right there. But if you can learn to recoil, pop and recoil back, and leave the slack in the line, you're getting all the natural movement of the bait as it's paused. And that means the swirls of current. If you're a river fisherman, you're getting the extra swirls of the current, because there's slack line there to allow that bait to go over those rocks and make those natural movements. And that's a triggering device. A natural movement of that thing floating along or a stiff board going through the water. There's a big difference to that. So slack line jerk baiting, pop, your pop, recoil, and then leave the slack line. Don't reel that slack line up. I'm telling you guys, it's just, and watch the slack line like a bobber.
Oh yeah. So
I mean,
that's, to me, I'm
that's
glad you said that.
That's so fun.
Yeah, that line will just go like this.
Yeah, it's fun.
And essentially that fish sucked the bait in and tried to spit it back out again. And that was a problem.
Yeah. You can't do it.
The other thing that's cool about a slack line bite is it's the best days.
Yeah.
That slack line bite's like a jig bite.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, and that's when they're eating it on the paws. And that slack's so important. One of my, again, referring back to that pre-spawn largemouth tournament on a tidal river, another one of my favorite scenarios is late fall on either tidal water or, some situation where the bass are moving up a little bit shallower, maybe due to like a nice weather pattern, and boat docks and riprap. Oh man, jerk that thing down next to a boat dock, dead stick it, count to like 5, pop, count to 5. Man, that is a killer bite. And those can be really big fish depending on the body of water you're on. The jerkbait, has become year round, but we're in our, this is our zone.
Yeah.
Like Mike and I will have multiple jerkbait rods on deck every trip for the rest of the year.
Yeah, it'll be 4. It'll be 4 of them. It'll be 4 of them.
Here's what you got to do. You got to look for the right situation. Now, it depends. All fisheries are different. Forget about whether it's a river, a lake, a tidal water. Number 1 uno, you have to have bait. So keep fishing and keep doing whatever you're doing until you get to an area where there's bait. I fished a little buddy scale tournament with my buddy Corbin last week, and we put the trolling motor down and fished the equivalent of like 3 miles. And then all of a sudden, there was bait everywhere. Now we were catching a bunch of dinks, but the point is that nothing was happening where there wasn't that bait. Now that is the situation. And the first thing I did was pick up a jerkbait and start fishing it. And of course I was continuing the streak alive of it had to be a £1.8. I kept continuing to keep the streak alive of the sub £1.8ers. And we were in 2-3 foot of water. I was throwing the shallow running megabass because it was perfect for that situation. I don't think I have any in this box because they're all probably tied up and laying on the floor of my boat. But my point is, no matter where you're at, when you get to where you have identified bait, whether it's on your screen, whether it's visual, then go to that jerkbait, put it in your hand, and say, I watched Tackle Shop Live last week, and those guys seemed pretty set on a jerkbait. I am going to try it. I'm not a jerkbait guy. Yeah. Guess what? You will be.
Yeah.
And Nick, I mean, what's your feeling on experimenting with a cadence? How do you go about that?
I'm kind of like you. I got the same kind of cadence, but it's the longer pauses or just a quicker cadence. It's all it is, but it's that same pop set, or pop set, pop.
I just think.
I mean, and sometimes
I think that's so important.
I learned a little bit from the forward facing too, because sometimes what I found out is fish kind of get used to your cadence too, as they're seeing that bait come back from your retrieve. So sometimes if you go pop, let it sit, it gets their attention, either the pop or the letting it sit. Sometimes if you do a real quick pop, it forces their instinct to go, I need that. You can do that as well. But yeah, I'm pretty much in line with what you're doing, George.
there's a fella here talking about current fishing and not being able to slackline in current fishing. That's absolutely wrong. I mean, you can slackline big time in current, and if you're not slacklining the current, that means you're throwing, down behind your boat, and you're fishing behind your boat. You got to fish the swing in current. You got to fish the quarter down swing. You throw down a little bit on the quarter, and then you fish that swing, and you can create that slack all the way through that until it gets in behind the boat, and then you can just let it do the swing thing in behind the boat, reel it up. But 3/4 of that cast can be fished on the slack line.
The other way I like to fish a jerkbait in current, which is pretty much one of my favorite things to do, is I like to back drift with my boat using my trolling motor to control my drift, and I cast out to the side or even slightly down per mic, never up, unless I see something weird. And as the boat's drifting, everybody's together. So we're kind of moving slowly. Everybody's together, and I can control my slack fabulously doing that.
Yeah.
And whether it's a hard jerkbait or a soft jerkbait, of course, we're talking about hard jerkbaits. And when you have identified the right area to be in, whether it's current or not, there's not too many better combination search tools / catch big fish tools than a jerkbait, particularly in these cooler months. Let's just assume it's cooler now. We're talking about that. And worry about getting the first bite before you worry about 4 jerkbait boxes and 2 rods and what line and what gear ratio and what rod. Worry about getting the first bite. And, we always say in pattern fishing, pay attention to the first bite. Well, in jerkbait fishing, pay really close attention, because if it came on to pause, that was not an accident. So now immediately recognize, hey, I'm getting bit on the pause.
Yeah.
It's just like fishing a fluke, guys. When all your bites come as that fluke, you dunk, dunk, and the fluke's sinking. It's just like that.
Yeah. Yeah.
I think you're exactly right. I think if I'm ever getting, like, if I hear people say they're catching them on a jerkbait, there's always 2 real questions I have. Color, I'll figure that out. Okay. But one is, what's the cadence you're using? And 2 is, I could be using the same bait you're using, but you could be using 8-pound fluoro and I'm using 10. That could make a difference. I've seen that already.
That's dialing it in.
That's dialing in. I've seen those little things make a difference, but the biggest thing I've ever seen to make a difference between guys catch them in a tournament and not was the cadence, because guys are like, they pick up a jerkbait and all of a sudden they're flying down the bank.
Yeah.
And you're like, man, they're not going to catch them like that.
Tournament fishing is really difficult to really concentrate on that. You got to be really disciplined to do it. But
first thing you got to do is you got to get the first bite. You got to get the first bite.
There is a lot to know about jerkbaiting and current. And I don't think this is the show to talk about it, but I'm just going to tell you this, that boat control, speed of your boat, slowing it down, keeping it to going the right speed on the drift till you find them. Then when you find them, getting the proper positioning of your boat so that your swing comes over top of the cover. Very important. There's a lot to that. So I'd like to really deep dive into that sometime, and maybe we should. But the big takeaways with jerkbait fishing is, the cadence. You work on the cadence. That's the cadence in which the colder water course you may let it set. What's your longest period that you've ever let it set, Nick?
Pretty long. I mean, when I say long for me, I've counted to 15 or 20 seconds already.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Especially in really cold water.
That's really hard to do.
It is. Yeah. So, there you go. There's a cadence right there where if water's super cold, you're in that 35, 36, maybe in the low 40s, and you're popping, and you're just sitting there with that slack line and just sitting there. On a lake, it's a lot easier. You're just watching that line. doing your count and then picking it up and then in cold water, you want to do light twitches, dink, dink, real light stuff.
And there's something to go along with what you're saying, because George hit it when he opened up one of his boxes and you had those suspended dots in there. The longer
they're in every box,
the longer you let your bait sit, the more important I think that is, because if you're letting it sit there for 10 or 15, 20 seconds that you're counting, and that bait's either sinking or raising, your bait's not where you think it is. You need to think about that a little bit.
Absolutely.
Well, I used to think that in really, really cold water, it was critical for the bait to perfectly suspend. And I've said it many times. I mean, many times, dozens of seminars on jerkbait fishing. It's not true. Sorry, I was wrong. My bad. Sometimes it is really, really important that it perfectly suspends. But sometimes in really cold water, it's okay to sink. I mean, I know Mike and I had one of the greatest days of our lives ever, and he was using a +1 cracked and full of water, and we didn't know that. And we were both of us were saying, how are you bringing leaves up from the bottom in this depth? Because it was really cold. It was in the 30s. Water was in the 30s. The air was in the 30s. But we were catching really big fish. So, again, going back and using the word forward-facing sonar, we have learned a lot about jerkbait fishing. First of all, you know how deep your bait's going. You instantly see any change you make to rod angle, line diameter, or bait. That trip Mike and I had when we had a decent jerkbait bite. They were small, but we had a decent jerkbait bite. You had to go to a +1. They wouldn't come up and eat it. You could see your bait clear as day. You could see the fish clear as day. They might as well been on 2 different planets. You put a +1 on, bingo, bango, bongo. Well, so in the world of no forward-facing sonar, you have to go and use your depth finder. You have to use your eyes. You have to understand, you paint a picture of that bottom in your mind and where you think the fish are, where the bait is, and you start working that area. If that regular depth bait isn't getting it done and you still believe, go to a +1. If you get bit, there's a clue.
We have them tied on already. We have the regular baits and then we have the +1s.
Always.
Because you never know. You never know when they're not in a chase and move where they're just laying on the bottom. And, forward facing or not, you can't see them. I'm sorry. You don't see them. And you don't see them.
Don't see the fish or the bait.
You don't see the fish.
I saw the hell out of them about 3 weeks ago when I went to that +1.
Exactly. But that was 8 foot of water. I'm talking about up in the upper river when it's really,
you're talking river fishing.
Yeah, I'm talking river fishing.
Okay, I didn't know that.
Yeah, I'm talking river fishing. You don't see them. I mean, it's like if you're not getting bit on a jerkbait, it's not because the jerkbait's not working. It's a couple of things. Number one, if you're not new to this, it's mechanics. You got to work on your mechanics. If you think we're freaking joking about this slack line, I'm telling you right now, you're not going to be that jerkbait fisherman. Just not going to be that person. It's so freaking important that we can't say it enough. You got to learn how to snap your rod and leave a slack on line. And then you got to start to put it together. Getting down closer to the bottom when they're not chasing real good is a huge thing. Catching fishing a 110 junior and all of a sudden switched up to 110 junior +1, and then you start whacking them is the typical thing. Happens all the time. So look at that. Remember that. Play with that. And I'm telling you right now, if you can't get this slack line thing together, it's going to kill you. It's absolutely going to kill you. We've proved it 1,000 times where allowing that wind to blow that water current and have that bait move naturally and have the current in the river to actually let that thing kind of go up and down with the currents and twist and turn. You will get bites that you will never ever get on a straight line.
Yeah.
Once they're stacked up and you're drifting into them, you can just hold it in front of them and it doesn't have to be slack. You can just let it lay back there and just have it lay there. and keep it in front of them, that's different. That's a different thing. That's a totally different way of fishing in current. So, but yeah, man, that's color wise and all that is
Well, I think colors. I think colors are important. More so than we tend to give them credit for. You know, we talked about the ghost type colors, the more opaque type colors. You know, I always like to have a color that is a trigger type color, be it a chartreuse, right? A bold, bright chartreuse. That can happen. Let's talk about, there's another good trigger color.
this freaking thing right here. This thing right here.
That's a trigger color.
It doesn't always work, but it could be a big deal.
Well, you got to have a couple of those on board because there's times when you're around fish and you need to, and they don't play a lot, but when they do play, they play big time. But the ghost type colors, the opaques, and then the third category that's really, really good is the mattes. You get clear water. You get, a cloudy day. You get, you need to fool these fish. If you're fishing clear water boat docks, on channel swing bank in the winter, those fish are suspended on those docks and it's a high pressure type day. You have to fool those fish. So keep your ghost type colors, keep your clears.
There's your fog. There's your foggy day ones, the French pearls, orange bellies, foggy days, man. When you don't have that light.
It's just important to have, and you can't really, there's no guidebook on what color when. I will say this: a see-through bait, clear water, sunny day; an opaque bait, clear water, cloudy day.
So for George,
that's a starting point.
Yeah, but honestly, for George and I, we have ghost minnow and we have chartreuse shad in Lucky Craft that we use a ton of. I mean, they are our two. And you guys, look, all you have to do is go back through our videos, go back on any of our stuff that we do. And you've heard us talk about this. The ghost minnow and the chartreuse shad are so huge, but also the Tennessee shad and the Wagasagi in Mega Bass is like our go-to colors in that. But then there's all these other aspects to it. So take your time and grow your jerkbait selection slowly over time. But yeah, a big thing.
That's a great color.
Yeah, there it is. Tennessee shad.
Tennessee shad, Mega Bass. Everywhere I go. Tidal, lakes, rivers.
Doesn't matter.
Most days, unless the water's dirty. That thing is a solid. So ghost minnow or different colors different companies call them different things. Mega Bass calls it like a stealth IU. That's critical. Your chartreuse shads, that might be as simple as in Mega Bass. That might be as simple as a color like that. So, have yourself some opaques, some see-throughs, build your arsenal smart and strong. Size of the jerkbaits is huge. You must have the small, the mid, and the big. The standard's going to be like a 110, 100. The smalls are going to be like the 78s to
110 juniors.
Yeah, 90s.
Yeah.
98s.
Yeah.
The 128s, the bigger Canadas, that kind of stuff. You have to have that depending on where you fish. You get around some big gizzards in real cold water, you better have a 128 or a Canada because those fish won't eat your small baits. That you get into like cold water and then big mud shed and big gizzards, you better have it. But build that along. The biggest thing is the finding the bait put this thing in your hand
Mhm.
for the rest of the year.
Mhm.
Pay
attention to how you're fishing it.
And don't stop fishing. Now, line weights, are going to vary. Don't get bogged down on that. Like Nick said, there's times when he's fished 8. My standard is 10 if it's open water. But when I get around boat docks and riprap and mean largemouth that have an attitude, I don't fish 10 because I'm getting busted off. I go to 12 right away. And also you can adjust depth on your baits. If you don't have a big giant collection of baits, you can adjust depth on your baits with line test. Reel gear ratio, don't worry about it till you get really dialed in and become a jerkbait aficionado. Then go with a fast reel because you're just picking up slack. So the faster the reel, the quicker you can pick up the slack. The reel has no bearing on fishing a jerkbait. Its purpose is to pick up the slack. And a lot of times when you're slack lining and you get that bite, you set the hook, you're back here. It's nice to quickly suck up that line and get back. Rod, medium heavy, fast, 6'6", 6'8", 6'9", 6'10". Again, don't get all crazy. You'll dial in your game to what works best for you as you become very, very confident. If we could, all three of us could mind meld one thing out there to the viewership, believe in this thing. Now, start it. Get on it. Get on it hard.
And really, 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 really work on your mechanics. Really, really, really work on them because George have taken a lot of trips. I've taken so many guide trips out where it took me basically insulting some people to be able to put slack in the line, because all you want to do is you want to jerk and reel up your slack because you think you got to feel the bite. I'm telling you, it's such a pet peeve for me, and it's the reason why I go on and on and on. And at all my seminars, I say it 57 times. On this, I'm going to say it 57 times. Slack line jerk baiting is the difference between 5 bites and 1 bite. And you do that over and over and over. At the end of the day, you're catching.
What's your take on that, Nick?
Oh, I agree with you guys 100%. I mean, I love jerk baits just as much as you guys. And, but a question I have that I know a lot of people have asked, I'm much like you guys. I have 2 to 3 rods out there, with different sizes, different lips to go deeper or not. For an individual who just has 1 rod dedicated to their jerkbait fishing, do you guys believe in clips or no to quick change out your different baits?
I got no problem with it.
I do.
I don't.
I believe you should embrace knot tying. I'll tell you what, when I'm dialing in my jerkbait bite, this is no exaggeration at all. Nick, you fish with me. I mean, I will change jerkbaits. I just don't know. I mean, it depends on the day. Every day is different, but I got no problem. I will retie every single time. And it's actually a benefit because the other thing is if you're fishing shallow water and you're fishing 10-pound line, your line's getting beat up. If your bait's on the bottom, your line's on the bottom. If there's rocks on the bottom, your line's getting beat up. So it forces you to check your line and retie.
We don't use them, but I have no problem with it. I honestly don't.
I do.
Because they make these things now just to snap. You know what I'm saying? And they're really light and they're 88-pound tests. That's a number 3. And it doesn't change the bait, anything. And I understand our great friend Pete Galusik, big snap guy, fishes snaps on when he's practicing. It allows him to change and not think about it. Ah, shit, I got time or not.
Yeah, look what it did for him. He's only had a 35-year career with multiple BASS wins.
Exactly.
If he didn't use snaps, he could have possibly been, Kevin Van Dam. But nope, he decided to put a snap on.
But he always used them just in practice, and his philosophy was, whatever makes me be more efficient and do this and do that, that's what I want. And I agree. And if you have 1 rod, it's a lot of tying in a day. But George and I, we just tie knots. That's what we do. So
hey, you got to tie the knots, okay? Leave the snaps at home.
I have no problem with snaps, Nick.
Snaps suck.
I'm not an anti-snapper.
Snaps
Is
suck.
that a work? Jason Basta.
I will say this. How
are you,
about a
bud?
compromise, guys? If you are a snapper, take the split rings off.
Yeah. I don't know about that. Well, it could be, yeah. But anyway.
Oh, it wasn't a question.
Huh?
It wasn't a question.
I don't know. We're not snappers, so we don't know. Does it make a difference?
I know when you buy.
Does it make a difference?
I know when you buy JDM Megabass,
Yeah.
the Japanese are snappers.
Yeah.
There's no split rings on them.
That's true.
I knew it.
And I knew it.
So, I mean, there's so much more to talk about in the jerkbait world, but
I think
what I want you to do is get out there this weekend, put the jerkbait in your hand, and try to harken back on a few things that we said. But what I really want you to do is I want you to totally focus on that first bite and then just get all in on it. Start like micromanaging your day from there. And the confidence level with the success of that is mind-blowing. You're done trying to be a jerkbait fisherman. You are now a jerkbait fisherman. Now you are a believer. You are drinking the Kool-Aid. And guess what? You're going to dial that game in.
Yep.
True.
Yep.
True. So true. But you got to kind of like drink the Kool-Aid a little bit. Just believe us. Just believe us and do it. If you're a jerkbait fisherman, you're just along for the ride. And I hope you picked up a couple of tips. But we could go on forever, but we can't because we have to have time for Rig of the Week.
Oh, yeah.
Rig of the Week.
Well, here's the deal with that, George. Last week, we had Rig of the Week, and we said after last week, you were going to we're going to draw for a gift card, $25 gift card every week. We're going to have a gift card, and we drew the gift card.
Well, now hold on.
What?
You got to give some props out here.
Yep.
We have Rig of the Week sponsor.
That's right. We have the Rig of the Week sponsor, and that is Nomad Designs, and they have a whole line of fantastic baits. We're big fans of them. Our own GDP is working with them really super close, and he designed his own jig with them. They've got the line ops, live op. I'm sorry, did I say line? Live ops, whole line of live ops stuff, and then they have this great crankbait line of lures that we stock, and we're just big fans of them. Nomad Designs, and they are giving away a $25 gift card to the shop every week for Rig of the Week. And last week's winner is, and this guy wins everything. Honestly, he's always winning. David Schottlemeyer. We drew you out of the hat, buddy. And you need to contact the shop, and you get a $25 gift card to Susquehanna Fish and Tackle. David Schottlemeyer, one of our longtime listeners, watches the show all the time. I think he's won every single thing we've ever put out here on the show. But there you go.
Well, here's the thing, guys. So before George does his Rig of the Week this week, if you want to win next week's gift card, there's a way you got to do it. So you got to like today's live.
Yep.
You got to share today's live. And then in the comment section, you got to put @Nomad Design. And when I say @Nomad Design, you're going to attach their Facebook page basically to your comment. That's what @Nomad Design means. Nomads ain't going to see you attaching that to it. So
yeah.
Like, share @Nomad Design comment.
At Nomad Design comment. Yep.
There
Beautiful.
You go.
Yep. They're great people. They're a great company. They have a great product line. And that jig that GDP made is the greatest power finesse jig you're ever going to use ever. awesome. So David Schottlemeyer, give us a hoot, a shout out. Nick was going to reach out to you, but give us a shout out and we'll hook you up, brother. $25.
I love it. And I'll tell you what, thank you, Colin from Nomad Designs. Thank you, Sean Loy. Thank you, Ben Feeser. You guys all working hard to support SFT Tackle, which by way of that, you're supporting our family of customers and listeners. And there's a few companies that do that well, and there's a lot of companies that don't.
Yeah.
And these guys do it well. They support brick and mortar shops. They support small independent onliners. They support hardcore anglers, whether you're saltwater or fresh, because they happen to make their bones in saltwater. Their reps, their managers, all of them are fish heads. I mean, they are. Like me. Like you. Like cameraman Nick. Like Mike. It's one big happy family. That's why we have Rig of the Week. Now, this Rig of the Week is near and dear to my heart. And this goes way back. This started with my man Charlie Brewer. And he didn't even know it. He started the slider head and slider fishing, which technically is a subset of that, okay? You know, a few years went by, that thing blew up, it became deadly famous. I mean, we are slider aficionados, but it's over consumed by the category of shaky worm. Okay, shaky head. It's either going to be called shaky head or it's going to be called shaky worm. I call it shaky worm. Maybe you don't. Whatever. So typically you're using a straight tail worm. Okay, I usually go between just under a 5-inch. My favorite being the Zoom finesse worm. I'm not going to lie to you. I have tremendous confidence, and I have a love affair with the Zoom finesse worm. I really do. That thing has cashed so many checks for me. So much fun catching fish on a tough bite or a good bite. I also like, any worm that's in that family. I've had tremendous success with, and I'm just talking about me. You guys can relate with your favorite worms. I've had tremendous success with the Berkeley, like the bottom hopper type worm. One of my new favorites is this big bite. This is called the Nico Rama. The trick worm from Zoom. I mean, go on and on. The magic worm from Missile. It just go on and on. So these are the same worms that you're wacky rigging. These are the same worms that you're Nico rigging. But let's not forget our friend, the shaky head. Now, let's talk about shaky heads. This is what I think is the perfect shaky head. Okay, so let's get some terminology down. You with me there, cameraman Nick? Collar and barb. That's the collar. That's the barb. This is called a ball head with a collar and barb. That is what I think is the perfect shaky head. This is a 3/0 hook. That is what I think is the perfect shaky head. This is a flat 60-degree eye. That's going to be tough, isn't it, Nick? There you go. Flat meaning it's turned this way, not this way. It's turned from this aspect to this aspect. 60-degree meaning it's like this. Why is that important? Hook set and getting through the cover. Okay? This is my favorite. Now, the way we assemble. Oh, Mike has a great point here. Probably one of the most, I don't know.
That's probably more used than
Is it a 50-50?
Could be.
Are we coin flipping here?
Could be.
Mike thinks we're in a coin flip. Let's check this out. The spring. Mike and I have a real good friend of ours, and his favorite saying is, if you like it, we love it. Okay? This spring, though, one thing we pointed out earlier with the
Can't use it with Elastex.
right, but what we pointed out with the willow blade, this spring this is the big bite.
Yeah.
This spring is bigger diameter.
That's a great head. Yeah.
The bigger diameter
Yamagatsu
spring,
hook.
the bigger diameter spring is what we're focusing on here. It holds better.
Yeah.
Than the skinny springs.
No doubt.
Okay. Now I think that might be a 4-aught hook. No, it's a 3-aught hook. So, rig of the week for you guys. I'm going to put it together. Collar barb. Just like your Texas rigging. Okay, right to there. Bring your hook out in the center. Don't be offset. Slide that worm up on there, and as you do so, turn it. And I like to kind of mash it down on that barb a little bit. Now we want a nice straight hang. So we're actually going to insert the worm hook in back here. See what I did there? Straight money. Now, depending on your cover, if you have fairly open water, I have had some very good success on a 10-pound line, fluorocarbon. If you're in a little more cover than that, step it up.
Yeah.
But the shaky head has a different, I don't know, presentation, the bait works differently than a Texas rig. Because you don't have that pivot point between the weight and the hook. And you're just kind of crawling this thing along. And here's what makes the shaky head spectacular. You're dragging this along and shaking it, just kind of dragging it along, creeping. But when that head makes contact with an obstacle and you kind of tension up on it, you're sort of waving that bait up in the air, up in the water column. And then you pop it over there and it falls back down again. So you got a great opportunity for a bite on the drop. You have a great opportunity shaking it in place. And you have a great opportunity when you contact something. So our rig of the week this week is the shaky head. Now, how you pimp out yours, that's up to you.
Yeah.
This is how we pimp out ours.
Yep.
Do it.
Yeah, man.
Rig of the week, baby.
Rig of the week. There you go. Like and share. Rig of the week sponsored by Nomad Designs. Check out their products online at sfttackle.com. And
we carry a bunch of them.
We carry a bunch of their stuff. You need to check their stuff out. Really cool rig of the week. That's one of them ones that's been around forever and ever and ever. George wanted to do it last week, but I made him do something else.
I could have got real cheap on you guys tonight too.
Yeah.
I mean, I could have went cheap. I'm talking like Taco Bell cheap. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. We're going to do that next week.
Like you're saying you're going to go to an authentic Mexican restaurant and you roll up on Taco Bell. That's cheap. And that, I was going to do that.
Yeah.
I was going to do that. You know what I was going to do for my rig of the week? That tail spinner.
Oh, yeah.
That would have been cheap. You know what I mean? Do a segment on it.
And then call it.
And then call it the rig of the week.
Well, you should have held off on it and then brought it in.
I know, but that would have been
tail spinners. Is legit.
That took rig of the week, but that would have been dirty. If I would have done that tonight, that would have been cheap and dirty. I would have had to go home and
listen, everybody. Thank you so much for stopping by and checking us out again. Make sure you like and share and do all the things Nick told you to do for the chance to win the gift card. And until next time, we will see you at the next Tackle Shop Live.
Day. Right there, you took my breath away. Young and pretty, was it just a dream? The next day, you called me up. You told me I'm your little buttercup. You came over and you fell into my arms. Well, I know what I feel. Please tell me your love is real. You make me smile when I think of you. If I am down low and I am blue, I can't get enough. soaked in sweat, with chills running down my neck. I'm going crazy from just the thought of you. A long blonde hair